What's up, guys? Corey here with another episode of E4 Explicit Podcast, and today we have Rob Carlin from the Washington Capitals.
NBC Sports
NBC
Washington.
Sports Washington.
Yes, make sure
Not
you get
just,
that right. Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah.
That's where I get my checks from. So,
So not just the Caps. So you cover, because I see you go to Maryland games, you do all kinds of stuff.
yeah, so I am employed by NBC Sports Washington. So since I've been there, I was on the Redskins beat. I've done Maryland. I've done almost everything.
Yeah.
Hosted a show with Brian Mitchell for a while. But for the last, throughout all of that, I was always covering the Caps. That's what I was hired to do in 2012. But only starting with the Cup year was that the first year that they were like, everyone has their own beat. You stay on that. You do nothing else. So that's all I worried about was the Caps from that point. There wasn't like bailing out in March to go cover a March Madness.
Sure.
There wasn't anything else. It was all Caps all the time. And as it turned out, it ended up being a pretty fun year.
Yeah.
To be your first full year where you're not having to split your focus on anything else.
That's cool. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
because I noticed you a lot more the Cup year.
Right.
You know, 'cause
So
I knew-
again,
yeah.
so when I first got hired, Al Koken hosted some, Jill Sorensen hosted some, I hosted some, and we just kind of shared the role. But that same year, I don't remember what happened, but they ended up needing a Redskins reporter that year, and that was the year they drafted RG3.
Yeah.
So much attention and time was with the Redskins and Robert Griffin that I did a lot of Redskins for 2 years. So I was kind of bouncing back and forth. And again, I was always involved with the Caps. That's the funny thing is people are like, oh, that's great that you were with the Caps. And I'm like, I've been part of the Caps coverage for like 8 years, but really only, and that's the thing. Like people need to see you every night, to really
to know who you are,
associate you with their team. So it's only been the last couple of years where it was just me and Alan, and we could work out a chemistry, and people can get to know us a little bit more. So yeah, these last couple of years have been awesome.
Yeah, I know, because I see you. I mean, they're giving you like, I don't know if they did this before. Like I said, I knew you were there and who you were, but I didn't know that you were so involved with the Caps until recently. But when they gave you when you interviewed Backstrom and Ovechkin, are they starting to give you like more like?
Yeah, so it was weird because Jill did that for so long, Sorensen, and then when she was let go, Tarek El-Bashir became like our reporter, and he was doing a lot of that stuff. I was the host of the game. So again, I would do something else, pop in for a game. Do something else, pop in for a game. And that's why I don't think people associated me because I wasn't day to day.
Yeah.
And then Tarek left, and so I think it was after we had Chuck Gormley for a while as our insider, and he did a lot of those things. And it was only when we really kind of, we stopped doing news, so there was no nightly news. We weren't covering every sport.
Yeah.
And we were just hyper-focused on Capitals, Wizards, and Redskins. We kind of dropped everything else. And that's when they were like, Rob, you're in the Caps pod, is what they call it. Rob, you're the Caps pod. Chris Miller, you're nothing but Wizards. There's no nightly news that you have to anchor the 6 and the 10. So, yeah, that was when Tarek left, I became the Caps guy. So all these sit-downs, all the podcasts, all that became mine.
Yeah.
So that's why you now are like, oh, okay, he's the Caps guy.
He's the Caps guy. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been fun because, is now the last couple of years we've been doing our shows from the arena.
Yeah.
And you walk around the arena, and now you start realizing, again, so I grew up on Long Island. I was a huge Islanders fan. And to me, as a fan, growing up, Jiggs McDonald and Eddie Westfall and Stan Fischler were the guys that did the broadcast.
Yeah.
And to me, they were as much a part of my nightly experience as Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier and Bobby Nystrom.
Yeah.
It was all just part of my night.
Yep.
And now as I walk around the arena and people say, I love watching you and Alan and so blah, blah, I go, that's so cool that I'm now a part of someone's experience with their team.
Yes.
And it means the world to me. A funny story is a couple of years ago, I was getting off a plane. I think we were going to a game in Tampa. Must have been a playoff game. Must have been the Cup year. And I got off the plane, and there was a kid probably 12 years old or so. And I'm walking off and getting off the plane, and I see the kid waving. And I don't think he's waving at me. I've never seen the kid before in my life. And I kind of looked back. 'Cause it looked like he was locking eyes with me. And I looked back and waves again. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to wave at this kid. Like it's not my
he's
kid.
Like some guy behind you's like, hey.
Right, like his dad's behind me, and I'm like, hey. Yeah. So I walk up, and now he looks right at me, and he's like, Rob Carlin, hey. And I was like, oh, hey, buddy, how are you? And he's like, I watch you. I'm a huge Caps fan, and my dad bought me tickets to a game. He said, you pick a road game. And he tells us this whole story. And he's like, I'm here with my mom. So we take a picture. And so we're walking away. And his mom kind of grabs him close. And like when you're proud. And you're like, oh, you're so happy. Yeah, you're so happy. And I'm walking behind them. And I walked up there and I tapped her. And I was like, if you think he's happier than I am right now, you're crazy. That was so cool for me because I was that kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you just love everything about your team.
That's
awesome. So the fact that I'm now a part of people's experience blows me away, and I appreciate it like you would not believe.
Yeah, no, you're definitely that's spot on. Like, because when we watch Caps games, it's definitely like I look forward to the intermissions. I'm just like, all right, like Rob and Allen are just gonna fucking crush it, and just like you guys give so much good insight, and you recap the game so well. And Allen, obviously, his knowledge is insane.
Beyond, it's crazy.
And then your chemistry with him is like.
They
couldn't have put a perfect two together, honestly.
I do appreciate that. And it's funny because we were just talking, our producer this year is this guy, Jason Murphy, and he's always kind of worked with us. We had, we had a guy, Ryan Billy, who now produces the game broadcasts. Mm-hmm. And Ryan was awesome, fun to work with, great guy. He moved on. So Murph came in. So he used to cut a lot of the videos. So he had to learn what Alan's looking for. So that way, like, he could present it and say, here's what I cut, and Alan's like, this is great. Sure. Just figure that out. So Murph was just talking about the other day about how he's learned from sitting with me and Alan watching the games, how to watch hockey and how to kind of see the back check, the whatever that he knows that is going to be important to Alan. And he was telling someone, one of our photographers, and I said, Alan can watch the game like a coach, like a former player, like a general manager, and break it all down. I obviously don't watch the games like that, but I know how to take what he's talking about and make it TV presentable.
Yes, so
it'll be in a fun way that I could participate. Because I don't want to be a hockey, quote-unquote, expert. I mean, I'm a hockey expert in that I talk to the players. I'm more of a reporter. But I take what Alan is just kind of barking out.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah, like it's just, his brain is always going. So I'm just trying to like, hey, Murph, we need to do this, this, and this to present it the way that fans at home can be like, oh, cool. And it also the way that I could then participate.
Yeah.
So like if I understand what he's talking about with the power play, now I can figure out how I could approach it as sort of the fan/reporter to challenge him even. And sometimes he'll say something and he says it so fast and so definitively and matter-of-factly, sometimes I have to be like, wait, so what you mean is to kind of like, so that way you try and flush out that everyone can understand. So I appreciate that you think we have great chemistry, and that's extremely important to us because and for the most part, we're just two guys that like each other.
Yeah.
We like talking about hockey. Yeah. And I'm glad it comes across that way.
And you guys are like aside from like your professionalism in your job, like you guys are just like good dudes. Like you're just good people. like I don't know if you remember this, but game one of the Hurricanes game after we won, me and my buddy came down and you guys were doing your broadcast outside. Right. And like I ran onto the set and I like took a selfie with you guys. Was it Brent Johnson? Yeah.
Johnny was there.
Yeah, he was there and everything. And I was like, it was a complete shit show on my end, but it was like, but how cool all of you guys were. Like you guys were like, they were counting down and I was like in front of you guys. Alan,
I do remember that. I do remember. Yes.
I was
because I was like a little bit like, all right. Yeah. We're like 4 seconds out here.
Dude. Yeah. And I got off quick, because I kind of understand how this stuff goes, but like you guys could have been total douchebags and been like, get this fucking guy out of here. But you guys were so cool, taking selfies, laughing. Alan May was like, come back on. And I'm like, what the hell,
what it is?
Man?
Like, I think that Alan feels the same way I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he appreciates that people appreciate what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that, I think he, as a former player, but just as a guy, knows what that means to someone. Yeah. So I don't think he ever takes it for granted or will be like, dude's a pain in the ass. He's jumping up here. Like, we're trying to do a job. Like, I just think he's like, that's going to mean something to that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be something that he'll show his buddies. Like,
literally.
Hey, look at this. How cool was this? Like, so I think that, we always try and remember that. Plus, a lot of those times when we were out on F Street during that cup run was crazy. Being in Vegas, we got bombarded with fans, and sometimes that stuff just leaks on air.
Yeah.
And Alan and I both always know that usually makes for pretty funny TV.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
if something happens where like fans are going nuts, like when we were out on F Street and they start chanting his name.
Yeah. It's
Alan
insane.
eats that shit.
He loves it,
He
dude.
loves it. So I'm gonna play into that. Like, so we know that anything that happens could potentially just make for good fun TV.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And so we try and have a blast with all that stuff.
No, you guys do such a good job with that because I see so many other times where like reporters and stuff like that, like you said, it's a job, so it's like they're not as like it seems like as passionate when it comes to the fan base and stuff like that. And you guys are just,
you know what it is? I think most some are not passionate.
Sure.
Some it's a job. I think Alan and I have we're loose. You know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah,
So like
definitely. That's a good word.
And it comes with experience of doing this for a long time that I hear what my producer's telling me. I know they're counting down. I also know how long it's going to take for you to snap a selfie, which is like a second and a half. So like, and sometimes they are like, dude, you got to get that guy off the set. You got to get this set. And I'm like, he'll be off the set. Like, I've done this. I know what I'm doing. I know he's going to do it. We have 3 seconds for our bump back. We have a video of 12 seconds. Like I know in my head, because I also was a producer when I first started in the business. So I know in your head, you just kind of know how long things take. So, I just think that like Alan and I are both like, A, it's important. B, we got it. And C, if we end up back on camera and this dude's taking a selfie, we'll have fun with that too. Like it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's a win-win-win. So
good to know.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But that's
right. No. Don't start bum rushing us that every time
you
see
said
it.
that.
Yeah. Now I'm just gonna put a sign up with your picture on it.
Awesome.
Do not let this
Don't
dude
let
out.
this guy on the set. Nah, I won't do that again. But so take me back to Long Island, man, because you're from Long Island. I was telling Rocco before we started, I was like, he's from Long Island, and I know you have to be, if you're on the island, you're either a Rangers or Islanders fan. But if you're an Islanders fan, you're like a die-hard Islanders fan. So how does that happen when you see the Islanders at Verizon, at Capital One, and you're like, I know. Sorry, but you know what I mean? Like how? Like take me back to Long Island.
So being a fan again, I was 8 when they won their first of 4 straight Stanley Cups. I remember watching it with my sister and running outside when Bobby Nystrom scored.
That's cool.
Yeah, at 7-11 of overtime on May 24th, 1980. Like that's I'm a fan. Like those numbers, those dates, that time will never leave my mind. And then watching 4 straight cups and just being like, well, this is the greatest sport ever. My team wins every single year. How do you not love this? Like
nice.
This is the best sport ever.
Yeah.
And then they went to a 5th straight cup. So you're right. I was just a diehard Islanders fan. And I always tell the story. My uncle, which is to say the married guy that my aunt was dating.
Yeah.
Which was an odd thing, but he was like part of our family, even though he had a whole other family. But he had Islanders season tickets, and he knew one of the ushers, or security guards rather. So he would like get me into the locker room area,
Sick.
after games, and I'd get to meet players. And I remember one time Clark Gillies, who was one of the toughest guys in the league, and he's huge, and I'm like,
you're like this.
I'm like 10, 10 years old, right? And this guy, we're standing in the hallway, and Gillies comes walking out of like the shower area in nothing but a towel, and he's just chiseled, ripped. And this guy whips out $100 bill, which to a 10-year-old is like $1 million.
Yeah, no, that's like
right. Like, I've never seen a $100
what's that?
bill, right? And he's like, "I'll give you $100 if you pull his towel off right now." And I was like,
He would have killed me.
I know that's a lot of money, but I'll never get to spend it because he'll kill me. So like even at 10 years old, I was like, risk ain't worth the reward here. No. Yeah. But like, so I used to go down and meet those guys.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like, it was just always a part of my life. I went to games all the time. I grew up literally 15, 20 minutes away from the Coliseum. So I used to go all the time. And then, as I grew older and I started in this business and you're traveling, and I worked in Birmingham, Alabama, so I'm focused on SEC football. So I didn't follow as closely for a number of years just because I was focused on other things. And then I got a job hosting the Islanders pre and post game, just what I do now for MSG Network. So that was awesome. And I got to see, it's a dream. Although a mentor of mine once said, like, be careful when you work for your childhood favorite team, because when you peel back the onion,
you're like,
sometimes it stinks.
Yeah.
And you know, they were bad years when John Tavares was first drafted, and they were not very good teams. No. But so you know, I got to do that, and it was awesome. Then I got this gig, and early on, Alan would give me shit constantly.
I was gonna say, he's got to kill you.
Yeah. So like the first time the Caps played the Islanders, I wore a blue and orange striped tie.
On
homage
camera?
to my team.
Okay.
Like I thought no one would even realize it. No one knows I'm from there. Well, no one knew I was from there. I was still new. Right. So it was like my own quiet little homage to my team. And we literally come on camera and I'm like, hey, welcome. I don't even remember what the show was called at that point. I was like, welcome to, you know, Caps pregame live. You know, Rob Carlin, Alan May, and he goes, hey, nice tie. And I was like, oh, you serious? And then like no one knows at home what that was about, but he just like a little subtle shot at me. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but over the years, now when the Caps play the Islanders, I don't even realize it's the Islanders. I'm so focused on what the Caps are doing. I'm so focused on, you know, again, are their breakouts effective? Is the power play working? Why was there another breakdown in front that led to a goal? Like, I don't even realize it's the Islanders.
Yeah.
When the Islanders are playing another team, I'm paying attention. It's my childhood favorite team. I want them to do well. And someone always, you know, inevitably someone will ask me, well, what if the Islanders play the Caps in the playoffs?
Yeah.
It's win-win for me.
Yeah.
I want the Caps to win because everything's better in my life if the Caps are doing well. The Stanley Cup run was the most fun I've ever had in anything I've ever done in this profession. But if the Islanders beat them, well, that's cool. Like, my childhood favorite team is, you know, like, there are points where you separate fandom and your professionalism, and it's always a balance. And, you know, I think that I would love to see the Islanders win a Stanley Cup one day. I'd love to see Ovi win 3 more before he retires. You know, like, I would love all of those things.
That's awesome.
I'm able to sort of strike that balance. But it is funny because 5 years ago when I watched an Islanders-Caps game professionally, I was always like, come on, guys. Yeah, come on, Islanders.
Really?
Now I don't even realize that. I don't even realize they're playing them. Like, I look, I'm like, oh, geez, right. They're playing the Islanders tonight.
Wow.
So, yeah, because I sort of adopt the Caps. That's my team, and it's what my focus is. So
that's so interesting. I feel like I could never do
pumping
that.
his fist back.
It's like, yes, we transitioned to another one. That's crazy. That's so. I feel like I could never do that.
Switch allegiances.
Never. Like.
So it's weird as you go through this field, this business. Wherever you end up working,
that's true.
You're covering the guys, you're getting to know them, you're speaking. So I worked in Birmingham. I became a huge Auburn football fan. I covered them all the time. I was there every week talking with the players. Wow. And this was, are you a Redskins fan?
No, I'm a Packers fan.
Oh, okay. So, but you're a football fan.
Yeah, of course.
So this was Jason Campbell was the quarterback. Carnell Williams was drafted in the first round.
Sick.
Ronnie Brown, who was drafted in the first.
Yeah.
They were stacked. They were the last SEC team that went undefeated that didn't even play for a national championship.
Yeah.
That was the year Oklahoma and USC played for. They went 12-0. I think they beat Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl. Didn't get a sniff in the national championship. That would never happen in the SEC now. But so, you know, you just sort of where you are, you get attached to the teams you're covering, and you're really more so rooting for the people.
Yeah.
You're rooting for the people that you like. I root for Ovi. Ovi has been the proud face of this franchise forever. Took all the slings and arrows for years and just has never said no to anything. You know, like he does everything that's asked of him, Ovi does. And he doesn't have to.
No.
He has earned the spot to be like, no.
Yeah.
And he still goes out and does all this stuff. Nick Backstrom's one of the nicest superstars I've ever met.
Really?
TJ Oshie could not.
Oh, my God.
Everyone loves TJ
That
Oshie.
guy.
Like, he's literally the guy that, like, dudes want to hang out with, girls want to be with. And then he goes out, like, did you see the videos during the summer when he played at the big golf tournament where, you know, all the Accenture match play or whatever?
No, I didn't see that.
So he's playing in that tournament. So he's got this sweet golf swing.
Yeah.
And they set up a basket by the first tee so guys would come up and shoot a basket. And Oshie knocks down a pure jumper, puts his glove on, smacks the ball down the middle of the fair. I was like, is there anything
you can't do? Yeah.
guy can't do?
He's so smooth.
He's so smooth.
He's so smooth.
So, like, you know, like, I just root for these guys. You get to know them a little bit. You root for them. you defend them when everyone's killing Tom Wilson. I'm like, oh, he's a student of the game. The dude loves hockey. And so you really root for the people. And then when you leave, those teams have either, as Alan says, gotten in your blood and you're always going to stay with them, or there's always a special place for them. Do I root for Auburn like I used to? No, yeah. But I pay attention.
Sure.
I know what's going on with Auburn, whereas I would never have chosen Auburn.
Yeah.
But once you kind of gets in your blood and you know what's going on, so I think for the rest of my life, the Caps will have a special place in my world. But you can't be a fan the way you once were.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah. So now having said that, I would never take a job in Raleigh, North Carolina, because I could never ever cover Duke. Like I'm a Maryland guy, I could never cover Duke. Yeah.
Oh,
and like if MSG Network called back and said, "We'll double your salary to come back home to New York where your family is, but we want you to host the Rangers." I don't know that I can do that.
That's amazing.
I don't know that I can do that. So I'm still
amazing.
a little immature and fanboy and be like, oh, I'll have to think. Let me get back to you on that one. So there are some teams like my childhood hatred grows too deep.
That's great.
But yeah, so it's,
oh man, glad we got that on tape. That's amazing. So if I ever see you at MSG,
right? Please don't play that back. Interview an exec at MSG. Don't play that for me.
That's amazing, man. Like since we're talking about the guys, I like to talk about them a little bit more because I follow all of them obviously on social media, and like when they won the cup, I mean they just pure like joy and relief and just like, oh my God, finally, and it's like, what's it like, I mean, Ovi, hands down, probably the best goal scorer of all time. Even if he doesn't get to 894, it's,
Agreed.
Still. So like, what's it like kind of going from Long Island? Even, you had Tavares, I'm sure.
Right. He was, at the beginning of his career, was pretty good. Right.
Yeah. So now
nothing's like this.
This is insane.
I mean,
right?
this is, so the year I covered Robert Griffin, that first year was unlike anything I've ever seen in my career because it was such a phenomenon, right? Where he just shot up. He was the #1 selling jersey in football. He was a quarterback. Yeah. Like you can't get bigger in the U.S. than to be
the #1
most popular quarterback, right?
True.
But as far as absolute legendary, one of the greatest all-time players, that you don't get to do that often.
Right.
So the fact that we're getting, I always say, honored and lucky to help tell his story on a nightly basis, that
I love that.
Yeah, like we just, like sometimes, like Alan will start laughing because I'll rattle off the numbers and his place in history and the people he's passing. He's like, "Are we going to do this every night?" I'm like, yeah. I guess.
Yeah, we are, Alan.
Because every night he does something else incredible. Yeah. And what's amazing too is he just sort of takes it all in stride. Like when we're like, what does it mean? Is it amazing to be in the company of, Mike Bossy and Wayne Gretzky and that's the whole list? He's like, yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's really nice. It's really cool. Like, but to him, like he's just marching along. And, when he went that stretch earlier this season, where, what was it, 14 goals in 7 games, whatever it was.
Went off.
He just shot past. It was
passed every night he was passing someone.
Hall of Famers, like 5 of the greatest players ever. He just shot right past all of them in like 2 weeks. Yeah. So
that was so cool.
That was so cool, and you just like, wow, this is really. And then that's why this, I understand we're doing the right thing. They're pausing the league. You have to make sure everyone's safe. But these games, if he loses them, now you start doing the math of like some lost games.
Sure.
Because for a while now, I've almost been saying it's starting to feel like more inevitable than a question.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying.
Gretzky.
Yeah.
Like you just start doing the math.
Yeah.
Unless his fall off the cliff becomes so swift that I just don't see it that way. No. I go, I don't know if he averages 40 for the next 2 seasons, which is not crazy.
No.
You're within 100 goals.
Yeah.
And then he only has to average like 33 a year for 3 years.
Yep.
Like,
that's what me and him talk about all the time.
Right. So you start doing the math and you go, holy shit, if he gets that, like, can you imagine what the run up to Gretzky is going to be like?
Oh my God, dude.
Like you just don't get to cover a guy like this often in your career. And, the fact that he got to win that cup validated everything.
100%.
You know, like now there's just no questions about his place in the hockey world. And it's really, really cool to get to cover a guy like this.
No, it's
even when he walks by me, I'm like,
yeah.
like, wow, that's Ovi.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
no, I can only imagine, man. That's the what's crazy is like all those guys whenever they come. I mean, he's been to DC. He's been here forever, and he's only played for 2 teams. But like anytime we get someone that comes to DC, they like literally do not want to leave. Like it's so. Side note, I'm gonna take you back real quick. I used to work at the Verizon. When it was the Verizon Center, I was a bartender at the Green Turtle. And I mean, like Leonsis would come in there, like the players would come in there. We had the Wizards on our lower bar had like the curtain where they would practice their gym.
Sure.
So like we would always see the players. And my dream, and the reason why I got into video and film was to be a cam op for the Caps.
Oh, really?
Obviously, never happened. So I was like, this is like the next best thing. I could be in the building, so I was always watching games and always watching them tear up the ice and stuff. But then like seeing the players was like, whether it was the basketball, hockey, but like seeing Ovechkin, seeing Backstrom and stuff like that was insane. I actually lived in Carlson and Alsner's building in Arlington when they first came up from Hershey, which was cool. But like these guys like love DC, like they love the people. That's why I felt like when they were partying in the streets and in the fountains and like it was like I don't know, it just felt like okay, like it was like.
Well, you can't have a better backdrop,
right?
Than Washington D.C.
No,
like
dude.
There's so many iconic places.
Yeah.
And I think this, most of these guys you got to remember, like, they don't get many choices in their career of where they can go. So, if you end up in a city that just doesn't have much to offer, and I'm not going to call out any city, but like, there are just some cities don't. And quite frankly, like, I grew up on Long Island, and it wasn't until I was working with the Islanders when you realize when you fly into a city, right? Because these guys are kind of in and out. Maybe you get an off day. Sure. But you land, you go to the team hotel, and then you figure out what to do that's close to the hotel. Then you play the game, and you get out of the city, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're judging your where would I want to sign one day type of brain, you're basing it off of kind of that and word of mouth from the guys in the league. And it wasn't until I was literally traveling with the Islanders and realizing how that thought process goes, I went, oh, wait. They're going to fly into some small airport in Long Island, go stay at the Marriott next to the Coliseum. There's nothing to do here. And then play in a dump of an arena. Well, no wonder no one ever comes here.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Now it dawns on me why the Islanders, now they're a bad organization and poorly run, but also there was nothing to offer. Like, unless you get to live there and realize the beaches and you're close to the city. But you come into D.C.,
yeah, you fly in, you're like,
holy shit.
Yeah.
This is Washington, D.C. There's a lot to do. There's tons of places to go out. There's great restaurants. The arena's packed. It's an awesome atmosphere. All they do is win. And you go, okay, now I get why this is an attraction.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it does start to make sense. And then also, certainly in the OV generation, and, not to knock some of the teams earlier, because those teams won a ton of regular season games, and quite frankly, probably should have, if not for the Penguins, won a cup or two.
Sure.
Right? Where if they'd gotten past the Penguins, I would have bet anything that they would have won the cup.
Yeah.
But
oh my God, yeah.
Right. They were the next best team.
For sure.
They would have, and I get anyone could say, well, it's easy to say that. I'm telling you, they would have won the cup.
For sure.
They're just the Penguins are in front of them.
Yep.
So, but the culture of winning that's been established that even those teams had, but since they won the cup, you come into this room and you are just, boom, you're in it. Like you're Carl Hagelin, all the wars they fought against him with the Rangers and the Penguins, right? There's reason for him to be like, this freaking guy's in the team now?
Yeah. Nope.
Right in.
Yep.
Right in.
And he
fits. And every guy that comes in here realizes that the reason why they win is because they have a culture of winning and acceptance, and there's not cliques. Some of those earlier teams that lost, there were cliques.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it.
And I feel like it played out on the ice.
Sure.
When it really got tough, Game 7s, why did they lose badly? I feel like they weren't all kind of pulling on the same rope. This team isn't. And I don't know if you ever heard the story, but to me, this sort of encapsulates what the culture is. The year, I think it was the Cup year, when they had their emergency backup goalie in Winnipeg suited up.
Yeah.
I forget what happened. So one of the guys got sick, so they had to call in the emergency backup. Now, he didn't get to play, but he did suit up in Winnipeg. And we did a podcast with him afterwards. Because it's such a cool story to see him on that, right? So he called in, and he said he gets the call, and he's basically a beer league goalie, right? He's like an assistant coach at a school up in Winnipeg for the women's team up there, but he's, in essence, a beer league goalie.
Yeah.
And he said he gets the call. He's like, holy shit, I'm going to go suit up for the Caps tonight. And he gets all his stuff, right? And he has to talk his way in. He's like, I swear I'm the emergency backup goalie, right? So he lets him in, and he's kind of like, he said he was walking by some of the guys playing soccer in the hallway. And kind of just didn't really say hello because he didn't know them. And he said he rounds the corner to get to the dressing room, and first guy standing out there, Ovi. Next guy, Kuzi. And he said, Ovi put his hand out and said, hey, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you. And the guy's like, yeah.
What?
I know who you are. Like, I know you're Ovi. But he's like, first guy, Kuzi was the next guy. They walked me in the room. He said in his stall was the first one by the door to leave. So, as soon as you walk in, it's right there. You're leaving. He said the team's taking the ice for pregame warm-ups. He said every guy walked by, hit me on the pads and said, let's go, let's go, let's go. He's like, at that point, I felt like I was part of the team. He's like, I'm a Caps fan now forever.
Wow.
And that's the culture that the Caps have now, where you walk in, you're part of it. Let's do this. I don't care if you're 32 and fat and out of shape and just coming in to help us for a night. You're part of it. And that, like, to me, I was like, that's cool. Why. That's why they win. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's what you feel when you go to cover the team.
Yeah.
Like, you walk in, there's just guys are going to talk. They're good dudes. It's just a great culture around there.
No, and I think it's easy to be like that too when you do win too, because it's hard to be friendly to the media and talk to all the fans when you are losing and this and that. But that comes with a lot of hard work and the camaraderie and everything that we have.
And there's always going to be Matt Niskanen was the guy that took all the bullets for the Cup year. They played bad games. Locker room open, there he was. Yep. He was willing to answer, and he was willing to be honest, and he was willing to say it's not good enough. We're not good enough right now. I have to be better. Everyone has to be better. And there are guys that are not going to be easy to deal with. Brooks Orpik was not easy to deal with. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't be any more professional. Just didn't like really dealing with the media.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Some guys were jerks. That's fine too.
Whatever.
Like, you understand what it is.
Sure.
And but again, it's a culture and a feeling in the room. There's always going to be a good guy and a bad guy. A guy who's going to answer questions, a guy who won't. And Ovi and Backstrom have earned the fact that they don't have to answer questions every night.
Yeah.
They've done it for so long.
Yeah.
But Tom Wilson will, and Lars Eller will now. Like, guys understand their place and their role, and that's part of what they do there now.
That's pretty cool. What's your like standout moment? Like, what was your like I don't know, what was your like little giddy schoolgirl moment
with the Caps?
Just in your career, honestly. I mean, working with the Islanders was probably pretty cool. But like,
it was cool. It was a weird gig because I was living in Baltimore. I only did the road games.
What?
So I only did the road games. So I drive up, get on the team plane, fly with them, come back from the road trip, drive back to Baltimore. My wife was pregnant with twins at the time, so I was commuting back and forth. I'd stay with my parents when I went up there. So it was a weird gig, and the team was terrible, and it was hard to deal with.
Yeah.
The people that worked with the team, not the players are great. So it was a weird experience. I mean, the Cup was, that was the highlight of my career.
Sure.
I've never been a part of something that much fun. Again, that I was part of people's experience.
Yeah.
So to see how important that was to people, for Alan to cry with his kids when the game ended.
Wow.
It's important, right? And it's equally as important for me,
Wow.
and to see that and to see grown men hugging and crying in the stands, that was, and then to go on the coverage for 2 hours and watching Koken and Grant and Johnny and all those guys back in DC on F Street and the party that just sort of erupted on it. Were you guys?
We went to the
F Street.
I wasn't living in North Carolina at the time. I happened to be up in DC for film work, so I stayed the entire time, and we caught every away game.
Oh, it was,
dude,
because it was insane. And what was awesome about it was it happened organically.
It really did.
It wasn't like they were planned anything. No. It's like fans showed up and they're like, oh, maybe we should show the game outside. Like,
it was so
we've
sick.
got 10,000 fans outside our arena, and then like every game, more and more fans.
Yep.
So then, like, obviously, Alan and I wanted to be in Vegas, which we
Obviously.
were, and it was incredible. But at some point in our post-game coverage, so we did all the interviews on the ice. We saw them raise the cup, and we just stayed on air forever. And at some point, the story became more about what was happening on F Street and in D.C.
Yes.
because they're kind of emptying the ice behind us. And Alan and I were like, dude, that is nuts.
It was nuts, dude. Like
nuts. Look how much fun this is there.
It was incredible. When we had, because he brings this little mini cup everywhere and stuff. So like I got videos that I still watch sometimes. It's just like insane. It was insane. You could feel the freaking ground shaking.
Oh, I'm
when
sure.
We would score, when we won, it was just.
I'm only looking at my phone right now because I want to see if I could find a picture. I'd have to go. I never know how to work this thing. Photos. Album years. Okay, here we go. So let me go back. It was 2018.
Yes.
So let me see if I could find. This is great for a podcast. I realize as I'm going through my phone.
He's looking through his
slowly.
phone. Yeah.
Yes.
But we got the video part too.
Yeah, we got the video. So,
yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to find. Now we're in June. There's pictures of grown men crying. So this is my. I just want to show you this. If I can find the right video. Sorry.
No, dude.
I walk. Oh, is this it? No. Dang it. Hang on. Oh, wow. Did I delete the video?
No.
So anyhow,
what?
So we're on camera for, well, here's a picture of Alan crying with his kids.
Wow, that's sick.
Alan and his kids. He was literally in tears with his kids. And again, he's getting to share this with his kids too.
Yeah. That's a whole nother
Oh,
level.
so here it is. I got down to the ice.
What?
I got next to Ovi.
Let's go.
As he lifts the cup. And
oh my God.
I'll put it by the mic so you can hear. That was Ovi screaming like a guttural scream as he. So we're on the air forever, right? At some point, Alan just bails out because he's like, I'm going down to the ice. So we'd been on, now granted, like 45 minutes or so. And they go back to coverage in D.C. Look at him and Backstrom just talking about like going back into the locker room. And it's still, and I think I have one more here. He's getting all the guys off the ice. Now, this is like an hour after they've won the cup. They've been on the ice. They've been celebrating. So he's waiting to take, and I'm just like, at some point I told my producer, I was like, can I please go down to the ice? The coverage is in D.C. now. He's like, I need you in case. I was like, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Great, my friend's calling now. But I was like, I'll be back. So I ran down. I happened to catch Ovi with the cup, and and I got that moment, and I honestly think like he noticed me come around, and that's why he did like that one last pick the cup up that you heard.
Dude.
So then he's walking off the ice. All right, my friend, stop calling now. And he's called over all his teammates, and
the mute button up top.
The mute button.
Go back.
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm an old man. This is proof that I'm just an old man. So he gets to. He's making sure every teammate is off the ice, right? He's saying, everybody. And look at all the people just waiting and watching. He walks through this throng of people, right? And he gets right up to the end. I'll fast forward. Turns around, kisses the cup, and he goes, "Thank you, Vegas."
Wow.
And he walks into the locker room. Now the real party's about to begin.
Oh, no, they go, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just such a cool moment of like, wow, this is really happening. The Caps just won the cup.
Dude.
And yeah, when he, thank you, Vegas. And it was just like,
that's so cool. Like, no, obviously we didn't know that because we're in the streets going fucking crazy.
Right.
But like the broadcast is back in D.C. You don't get to see stuff like that.
Right. So, and then I said to Ryan Billy, I was just like, dude, you gotta let me, because Alan went down.
Like, see ya.
Alan's like, peace out, I gotta go. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, can I please go? I'm talking, in my IFB, like, come on, dude, let me go down. He's like, I need you in case the shot goes down in DC. I was like,
what?
Seriously?
Yeah, come on.
Really?
Man.
You think something? So he was like, you gotta be back in like 5 minutes. I was like, 7. I'll be back in 7 minutes. And I just sprinted down, caught those last 2 shots.
That's so cool, man.
And it was just like, yeah, it was there. And that party went deep into the night in Vegas.
It went deep into like
2
a
weeks.
month.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like because I have a lot of friends in DC that are bartenders, so they're going to like was it Don Julio or some bar that they took the cup to. and they were just like going. They went everywhere. They
know.
did, and you obviously were at the parade.
I was at the parade. Yeah, we broadcast the parade.
We drove up for the parade.
That was insane. And the funny thing is, we ended up going out after the parade.
Oh, really?
And so we were. Alan had a keg up where we were. He had his own. We had our own private keg. So someone did a keg stand at some point.
Yep.
Next thing you know,
With the players, you're with the
no.
players?
The players went separate. We were just. It was like me, Alan, all our crew,
That's
and
cool.
just tons of fans. The place was packed. And so we start doing keg stands, and now people are coming over. Like, am I next? So we're just hoisting up people, right?
What?
I didn't realize, but ESPN 980. Well, I knew they were broadcasting right next to us. Those guys were on the air. I didn't realize they were literally doing play-by-play of us doing keg stands. So we're just lifting people up, seeing how long people could drink for. Now it's a competition.
Oh, my God.
And it is pure insanity. Horn guys blowing the horn. They're all like doing the cheers. Dude. People are literally lined up to come and do keg stands.
That's
so
amazing.
I did that for a while. Like, I was there for a good long time. And finally I was like, I got to drive back to Annapolis. So I got to, sober up a little bit. So now I got to walk back to my car, and I see people in the street, and they're like, "Hey, man, I heard you doing keg stands." I was like, "What do you mean you heard me doing keg?" They're like, "They're broadcasting on 980." I was like, "Oh, for dear God, like that can't be good."
That's amazing.
And then Ryan Billy, our producer, calls at some point, and he's like, "Hey, where are you?" I was like, "I'm just leaving DC." Why? He's like, "So your wife called, and she was wondering where you are, and." I heard they were doing broadcasts of you doing keg stands. I kind of didn't know what to tell her. I was like, it's okay. If they're broadcasting it, clearly that's where
Everyone
I was.
knows.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's my boy.
Yeah,
He's like, I just want to make sure. Yeah. I want to make sure what story you're telling her. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. That whole experience was so much fun.
Dude.
Just incredible amounts of fun. And I again, because I live here and I'm not close, so I didn't go to the fountain. I wasn't sort of in that experience, but just everywhere I went, everyone wanted to hear the stories. Everyone wanted to see the pictures. Like, it was wild.
Well, they were partying almost at like random almost. Like it was like every day ESPN was like throwing up some
Caps
video.
are here now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, jeez, they changed the rules, didn't they? Of like what they can't do with the cup or something because of the caps.
Yeah, like I think that. Yeah,
I think they were like, you don't get to party as hard as.
Yeah, well,
which is awesome. Like.
From the stories of the old Oilers that Alan's told me, like, that cup has seen a lot. That cup has seen a lot.
So
It just
cool.
wasn't on social media back. There's no social media.
Of course, yeah.
But, yeah, that cup is, the whole thing, the old adage of if that cup could talk.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Kidding me? Fly on the wall.
There's some stories with that thing.
That's insane.
So.
Wow. Yeah, so I just want to talk a little bit about, like, you work for the network and stuff like that, but, there's no season. So, like, I think, obviously, it's unprecedented where, like, March Madness is canceled. Like, major league seasons are postponed. So, what happened? Like, how did you get a text? Did you get a call? Like, how did that work out?
I think we all experienced it together when the NBA announced they were shutting down their season, which is so weird because there were NBA games on.
Yeah.
That video of Mark Cuban, like, seeing on his phone, that's crazy. So clearly their commissioner just did it.
Yeah.
There was not a conference call. There was no like, hey, we need to. Boom. He just pulled the trigger as soon as they heard Gobert had tested positive. And, like, I think, most sports fans all lived it on Twitter together because it was like, that happened. The Tom Hanks announcement happened. Trump's giving a speech. Like, this all happened, at the same time.
Yeah, it was weird.
And then you were like, the NBA just shut down. Is every sport going to shut down?
Yeah.
And you were like, well, of course. You can't have one sport
exactly.
shut down. And then you just start doing, like, the weird math in your head. So Gobert and the Jazz played in Detroit on whatever, like, Saturday. The Red Wings played there 2 days later. Now the Red Wings are here getting ready to play the Caps the next day. I'm like, is that safe?
Yeah. Is that
and then when you look back, the Jazz played in the Garden, Madison Square Garden, last Wednesday. The Caps literally showed up. The Jazz leave on Wednesday night, whatever time, midnight-ish. The Caps crew, the trainers that get the locker room together, showed up within an hour or two later and start putting the dressing room together because the Caps played there the next day. So now you're going, like, I don't know if this thing, how airborne this thing is.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't mind that the NHL took their time, like every other sport had announced, and everyone's freaking out on social media. Why hasn't the NHL pulled the plug? There's a lot of moving parts. Where are we going to finish the season? Can we secure buildings? Can we secure buildings into July if need be? Like, I think they tried to get a couple of things in order, and I think they realized you can't get anything in order because no one knows anything right now.
What's going to happen.
So, so we got, so again, as of Thursday morning, this all happened on Wednesday night. Yep. As of Thursday morning, not only are the Caps still scheduled to play, they've announced that they're going to have a crowd. So there wasn't even like we're going to play it in front of an empty arena.
Yeah.
So then we thought, they're going to have to play in front of an empty arena, right? Like they can't play in front of a crowd. And then it became are we going to be in the arena? Are we not going to be in the arena? How, minimizing risk.
Sure.
And then just sort of then you hear that morning skates were all canceled, and we're like, they're not going to play this game now. It's only a matter of time. And then the announcement finally came at 1:30 or so when the news leaked out.
The NHL, yeah.
And now we're like everyone else. Our bosses are just like, let's minimize risk. Everyone work from home. Do what you can when you can. We're not going to be doing shows, and when we figure this out, we'll let everyone know. So we're just like everyone else. We're just waiting to hear something, and the Caps are doing the same. Like there's no informal gatherings, there's no informal skates or practices,
no meetings.
Nothing. They're home with their families until further notice. Damn. And that's I think that's what everyone globally is being encouraged to do.
Sure,
so it's not just like, well, what do you mean they're not skating? This is a global thing.
Yeah, this is
now.
a little bit more than hockey or sports and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we're all just waiting to see what's going to happen. And hearing Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, last night say we're anticipating 30 days.
Yeah, that's all
like, dude, 30 days.
That's
right. We're talking the end of April now. Like, so now did they play? I doubt they're going to find a place to 13, 14, 15 games, whatever teams have left.
Yep.
And then start a full playoff.
Yeah, that's like 2 months.
Right. So now then I've heard people saying like maybe they play a couple of games, or they could even go to maybe like give the top 4 teams a bye, let the next teams play like either an aggregate 2-game like soccer or a best of 3 to see who advances on. Like there's a lot they got to figure this out. And I think that what's been made clear, and this is through listening to NHL radio and listening to the national guys it sounds like they want to raise a cup this year. So if they have to go to July, August, even September and push back next season, either eliminate games or just push it back, they'll deal with that next year, but they want to finish this year because we're 85% done.
Literally, it's 15, 14, 13 games left. Some teams
So I think they want to finish this. They want to have a Stanley Cup champion, and then they'll figure out next year. But again, it's securing buildings. It's, concerts could be planned for July and August so
a lot more that goes into it than just
more. I mean, this is a huge undertaking
for sure,
because the NBA has to do that at the same time. So you got to be working together with them to secure buildings. So there's so many moving parts, and all of those moving parts are on hold until we know whether or not we're all safe.
So nothing can even start until that comes
If the
out.
NBA is thinking 30 days, then the NHL is probably going to have to, because again, no sport's going to come back until all the sports are going to come back.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah, I read I was a Bettman said that they might just start the playoffs like whenever it's okay, and I'm like, damn, like all those teams that like were like on the cusp, the Carolinas, the Blue Jackets, and
the Islanders,
the
they're on the outside now. I mean, those, and it's funny because we were joking. As it turns out, I think the Caps had the tiebreaker anyway.
Yep.
But
for the Flyers.
Yeah. But the Dmitry Orlov goal off Rasmus Ristolainen's skate ends up winning a division for them. That extra point got them clear of the Flyers. Again, they would have had the tiebreak. So, but you're like, wow, didn't realize at the time how big that Dmitry Orlov goal was to force overtime.
And then how hot the Flyers were going. I mean, they couldn't have got hotter at a perfect time.
Right. And a lot of people now are asking, I did the Sports Blitz with Grant and Danny before I came here. And they were like, does this help the Caps maybe? Because they were so bad. Like I was like, I don't know, maybe like they just get a full reset now. Everyone gets to decompress. And so, who knows? And that's who knows how anyone's going to take this? Because again, we're all waiting. There's going to be a hockey player, almost assuredly, that's going to have it
for sure.
Just statistically speaking, right? I mean,
yeah.
so that now it's like, how does that affect that team? How does it? And as far as I know, the players are not getting tested yet.
Really?
So there's not. I don't believe there's mandatory testing yet.
Wow.
So, the only time's going to tell with all this stuff. That's crazy. It's crazy.
So you're just hanging out with your daughters and your wife at home because they got off school too.
Well, yeah. So today, as we're recording this, is their final day before at least 2 weeks off. And I was like, wait, there's no sports and my kids are home all day? Oh, my God. Yeah. This just took a terrible turn.
I saw you got the post you made last night with the whiskey. You were like, yeah. You got any more of that?
Hit that Woodford, pretty hard last night. And there's only a little bit left in the bottle.
That,
yeah. I've had the bottle for a while. It wasn't all last night.
All right.
But people were hitting me up like, you better stock up, man. You could be. I was like, I've got plenty. Don't worry. But I did hit the liquor store last night, and it was packed.
Really?
Packed.
They're trying to kill all the germs from the inside.
I guess so. Or just dull the pain, man. And then my buddies today here in Annapolis were like, don't even go to Giant. It's a shit show. Yeah. They were like, if you want any essentials, don't bother. Really? They're all gone. And I was like, are we planning on being locked in our homes for like months?
Apocalypse
happening? What is happening here? But it's crazy.
That's insane. Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do like what was the
House of Cards?
House of Cards. Yeah. That's how I was ending the House of Cards movie.
That's awesome. I love that show. By the way.
Me too.
But that's another episode for E4 Explicit Podcast. See you next time.